Hello, welcome to the community newspaper Facebook program, Excellence in Education. This is Marta Perez, and our mission is to expose and inspire excellence in education. Please follow us on Facebook. Now, allow me to introduce a very important person in attaining excellence for our school district. She is the new Chief Academic Officer for Miami-Dade County Public Schools. She comes to us with vast experience in classroom technology, school choice, and all innovative instructional programs. She has dedicated her life to teaching and learning, is the wife of Raul and mother of two. Please welcome Dr. Sylvia Diaz. Thank you, Dr. C, so much for being with us. Before we begin asking you extremely important questions that are very relevant to our audience about schools in the coming months, please tell us a little bit about your background and how you grew up.
Absolutely. So I grew up here in Miami. I went to school at Miami-Dade County Public Schools, and I spent pretty much every summer of my life going into schools and helping my cousin, who was a teacher, prepare her classroom for the next school year. And so I thought all my life I would be a teacher. But somehow when I got to college, I changed my mind kind of all of a sudden. My brother was in an engineering school. And he was at the same university that I went to, and he encouraged me to study engineering. So I did that, and I actually studied computer science in the engineering college, and I worked as a programmer for a couple of years after I got out of school. But I was never satisfied with that work, and I navigated back to teaching and started teaching, and I've been there ever since for over 30 years now.
What was your first job?
My first job was teaching computers to children at a K-8 center, a Catholic school.
Okay.
And I loved it. I loved interacting with the children. I loved helping them to learn new things because we used the computers both with the older kids for productivity, for learning tools, for supporting what they were doing in other classes. And for the little ones, we used it for developing their academic skills.
And how long have you been in teaching and learning?
I have been teaching now in education for 32 years.
32 years. So I think you've seen a lot in your days.
I have.
And I know that your experience is vast and your work is excellent, which is perfect for our program. Now, in April, the Florida Commissioner of Education said he released an emergency order providing flexibility to school districts. And a lot of people don't understand, what does that flexibility mean? And can you please tell us what it means, for example, for graduations of our current seniors, for promotions and retentions? Tell us what is happening because students are still being tested, and is that going to count? Tell us what that order means.
Absolutely. So the emergency order gives us flexibility. So for students who are going to graduate, if they had not passed their exit exams, their algebra exam, or their ELA exam, or another exam like the SAT or the ACT that they can use as well for to exit high school for concordant scores. Those requirements are relaxed. The school district
what does relaxed mean?
It means that
what is that a synonym of?
Right. It means that if they didn't take those tests and pass them, if the school district can assure, right, or can confirm that the students otherwise meet graduation requirements, that the students will be able to graduate this spring.
Which a lot of people are somewhat skeptical of, because, some people have said, that means that kids who didn't show up, didn't do anything, they get an automatic pass.
Oh no.
And to a degree, this has been an unprecedented 14 months. I suppose there will be a few cases like that, but go ahead and tell us how we are trying to control that.
Right. No, absolutely not. So students have to meet the grade point average for graduation. They have to have obtained all of their credits. They need their 4 credits in mathematics. They need their 4 credits in ELA, their 3 credits in science, social studies. So they have to have taken those classes and successfully completed them. They have to have completed their online credit, their online course. They have to have taken a practical art or a performing art or a fine art. So they have to have met that myriad of requirements for graduation.
But do we anticipate that there will be a decline in graduation as a result of that?
So as a result of the flexibility, absolutely not. There potentially could just be a decline in graduation because we have had a lot of students who haven't been participating, right? We've had students with a lot of absences, and absences are likely going to equate to them not being successful in their courses. So they're not earning the passing grades. So without a passing grade, they're not gonna graduate.
But overall, the testing requirements for graduation are going to be relaxed.
Correct. That's correct.
Which means not going to count, which means
for this year's cohort, right?
Just
for the ones that are graduating this year. So if you're a junior and you still need to pass a math exam to exit, that requirement is still there. And you're going to have to meet that, right, to be able to graduate next school year.
And how about the rest? We were talking about graduation, but the other thing is student promotion. Now, one of the things that we talk about so much is about how students are regressing, how some students have regressed an entire year. I have been speaking to some teachers, and they are horrified to see that after a year, their students are still on the same grade level in reading and things like that. So how is that going to impact decisions about student promotions?
So for promotion, it's up to the classroom teachers, right? Parents also can certainly influence whether or not their child is retained. But in 3rd grade, for instance, if the child doesn't take the 3rd grade test or isn't successful, then we have a portfolio system, and that has been in progress already. So students have been completing assignments as part of that, so that we have another way that we can demonstrate that the child is proficient and can be promoted to 4th grade.
A child, let's say, that entered the 3rd grade and was on 2nd grade reading level and went through the year and is still on 2nd grade reading level. Is that child promoted to 4th grade?
So the way we look at it is, I believe the requirement is that it's comparable to a level 2 on the FCAT, which is, right below grade level, right? And so the child has to meet the requirements in the portfolio. So they have to go through that portfolio process, and the teacher is going to evaluate whether or not that child should be promoted to 4th grade.
Now, a lot of the teachers, they have so much more on their plate. There's, the pandemic, they're pandemicked out, and they're required to keep this portfolio of every student and be able to justify it. We've placed so much work on our teachers, and I'm afraid that they are mostly burnt out. It's a lot of teachers are leaving the profession, and I don't know how we're going to be able to address that. What are some of the things that you think we could be able to do?
Well, what we try and do is we try and provide a lot of support at the district office, right? So we try and make things easier for teachers, because the work of the past year and a half has been monumental, right? What we have asked teachers to do, the challenges they face, children at home, some children in the classroom, trying to deal with the dual modalities, trying to engage children who are remote. Very, very challenging. So the third grade portfolio process is well defined. We provide all of the assessments, the items. We have a process for it. It's all laid out for teachers to help them.
But how about for the other grades, like second, first,
For
fourth?
For the other grades, it's kind of, again, it's up to teachers, right? Teachers are evaluating student work. They are making determinations based on whether or not the children are passing their English, right? And their language arts and their mathematics and that. And so they're the kind of judgments that they make each year, right? This year, under the circumstances, it's probably a lot harder, right? With lots of children who are behind.
It is a monumental task, because I know that the teachers, we cannot, and here's the other part. The other part is that as much as the district does to help teachers, there's a filter, and the filter is the principal. And we require certain things of the principal that then they kind of put on the teachers as well. So often, and I know you've heard it and we've all heard it, you hear about principals who, because they need to get their work done, they impose more on teachers than we really should. And it's been a very difficult year for teachers, I think. And, senior teachers are retiring, and junior teachers are saying, I'm not coming back. So it's going to be a challenge, which leads me to the next question, which is the summer program. This beautiful, amazing summer program that you and the superintendent and the district have come up with, which you presented to the board and the community a couple of weeks ago. And it's beautiful. Tell us about that and some of the challenges, which I'm going to ask you about the challenges.
Sure.
But tell us, please, why the community should be so excited about this summer program and when it begins.
Okay. So the summer program actually begins right as school ends. So school ends the 9th, the 10th, and the following week, there'll be summer programs that will begin. Those programs will be hosted by the Children's Trust. So that's one of the things that we're doing this summer that's new and it's different.
And what do you mean hosted? What does that mean?
So they are, and actually funded by the Children's Trust. I shouldn't say hosted. So the Children's Trust funds a lot of different summer programs that are held throughout our county every summer.
Right.
And
what
families.
What that means is an organization that oftentimes they run like after school programs.
Right.
They're going to, in their physical locations and sometimes in our schools.
Correct.
They will be the ones, instead of Miami-Dade County Public Schools administrating it, the Children's Trust is going to be administrating, but to the consumer, it's at summer school at their elementary school.
Correct. A lot of these programs apparently too, and I've just learned this summer with this partnership, new to me and my new role. But so the Children's Trust funds all of these camps. They're held, some of them, as you said, in our schools, some of them at other locations, and they all tend.
Are they going to hire our teachers?
We're going to hire our teachers, and we're going to have them go into the camps. So
how does that work? If they are running it, how do they but we supply the teachers.
We are. So they have their regular camp programs that they're implementing. So they've got their camp, they run it from 8 to 5. They have all of these different activities. All of these camps include some sort of an educational component. So what we asked the trust to allow us to do was to allow us to have their who
runs that still, they hire a camp director.
They do. But our teacher is going to go in. They've had to sign affiliating agreements with us. They've had to agree to our terms, which is basically we're going to be sending in teachers, and it depends on how many students they have, right? Whether it's one teacher, multiple teachers, and the teachers we're providing materials, and we're providing the teachers with the guidance. We're basically planning for teachers, trying to make it easy for the teachers to go in, and they'll work with small groups of children doing
what
reading, doing reading and math, both. Reading and math. So that we'll have some consistency across all of those camps.
How long will the camps?
So the camps may run much longer. They could, as I said, they could start as soon as school's out, and they may run all the way through the Friday before school opens again in August. Our teachers will be providing services for 5 weeks, from July 28th through, from June 28th through July 30th.
But it's going to be in 2 parts, right? 2 weeks and 2 weeks. Is that right?
No,
they're going to teach for 5 weeks.
They will be there for 5 weeks.
Okay.
So
teaching math or teaching reading.
Right. So the push-ins and the children's trust camps will be restricted to math and reading. Then in our schools, because we want to bring kids back to school, right? Children who have been away for a while, we have camps going both at the elementary and the middle school level. Different than, so typically we don't offer these types of programs in the summer, right? We offer a 3rd grade reading camp only, which is targeting children who are behind in reading in 3rd grade. And then we offer course and credit recovery at the secondary level. So this year, though, we have our camp programs at elementary and middle school. So our camp programs are interdisciplinary in nature. They've got, in the elementary school, they have a STEM focus as well. So the children will go in, they will get reading, they will get mathematics, and they're also going to do all of these fun STEM activities in an interdisciplinary manner. If the child is behind in reading, when the teacher is doing the small groups, they're going to be working with children to differentiate what they do with them.
Will the teachers have assistants?
The teachers will, for the most part, probably not have assistants. The class sizes, though, are a little bit smaller than what we typically have.
And it's my understanding that you're going to have to create incentives for the teachers, because, as I said, what is happening in so many school districts, including ours, is that they don't have enough teachers. And
right.
The teachers that I've mentioned to, I said, you're going to work this summer, they say, are you kidding me? I'm telling you, it's been a tough time, and to encourage, I think many of them are waiting for the summer to breathe. I don't know how we're going to be able to attract the teachers. And what happened, that to me is like, well, yes, we have this great program. And I love that the superintendent and you said, we want to make this a lot of fun. Because if we have kids, we're trying to attract those kids who didn't show up, who didn't want to come to school. We want them to make this summer a lot of fun so that they're encouraged to come back. But how are we going to make sure that we have enough teachers?
So we did.
The plans are there, but where are the people?
Yeah, we need the people, absolutely. And we're working on getting them. So we did a survey. And we asked teachers if they were interested in working over the summer, and we gave them kind of the different configurations. There's hourly work, right, for the Children's Trust. There's all day. There's full-time work in our camps. There's part-time work. We've also got a Spanish immersion program, right, that we're doing in elementary school. So we kind of gave them, here's the landscape. Would you be interested in working? And we got a pretty good response back. I think over 3,000 teachers responded that they would be interested. So, and that was before they knew what schools were going to be open. So,
how can a teacher apply? How can I?
So we've got HR is working on that. The schools are recruiting teachers and the region. So if your school happens to be closed, but you want to work for this summer, and we do have 179 sites that are going to be open, teachers will absolutely be able to go to one of their neighboring schools and work there.
So you don't anticipate a problem in recruiting?
I'm hoping we don't have one. I think that once they know their school, so they know now, right? The list of schools has been published. People know which schools are open. And so I think that may bring on some more teachers because they'll be comfortable. Oh, my school's going to be open this year. That's great. We're going to do some sessions with the teachers now too, just to explain the summer programming to them, right? So that they will understand the resources, what they're going to be expected to do and what they're not expected to do, right? The things. So we're hoping that we can attract them with that as well.
A lot of candy.
I know. And the summer pay scale, the full-time pay scale is higher, and the hourly pay rate is higher as well.
Okay.
So we're hoping with those incentives
that you'll be able to catch a lot of fish.
Right. That we'll be able to catch a lot of fish.
So the other thing, and we're short on time, and I could interview you forever and ever because there's so many things that the public wants to know, and you are the head of all of it. The district has been working on a new strategic plan, and a strategic plan is how we're going to strategize basically student achievement, in my opinion, for the next 5 years. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So we actually have a town hall meeting tonight. The superintendent does, and he will be discussing our priorities. And in our group in academics, I tend to think that, the priorities are similar to what they've been in the past, right? As a school district, what do we need to accomplish? We need to graduate kids who are ready to go on to post-secondary, ready to enter careers, right? Who are prepared for the life that they're going to face when they graduate.
Sylvia, and the overarching theme for so many years has been the achievement gap. And we still have an achievement gap.
We do.
And we've had an achievement gap for 65 years. And how, in your opinion, how do we overcome that?
I think so. What I was going to say about the strategic plan and right, the priorities are in many cases are very similar to what they've been. But what we need to do is, there are new priorities, but additionally, we need new strategies, right? We need to find different ways to reach children. And I know our teachers try and do this. So it's more support for them to help them. But sometimes when we teach something, and we teach it and maybe we teach it again and the kids don't get it. And we're like, okay, well, I've done it. And they don't get it. Right. And so then it's really about, you have to think about that and reflect on your practice. And how is it that I change that? What is it that I do to make sure that I'm reaching those students, right?
It's become such a international market for teaching and learning and everything. And I'm reading a book about a teacher in Korea that makes $4 million a year.
Oh my goodness.
Because in Korea they have those hagwons, those after school programs that are tutoring, but a lot of it is rote learning and anything, whatever, children are in school until 8:00. But apparently this teacher, I guess he's just magical, and so he teaches his lessons, and I guess he makes it $4 million because he's online, and those kinds of exception. Are we working on? Obviously, not every teacher is a gifted teacher. On using some of these people that are able to explain things and touch students, and using them and technology to help some of the students get, particularly some math. You're a mathematician,
right.
Math concepts, geometry that seems to be so difficult for students.
Well, absolutely. So we're rolling out a new LMS this year, right? A new technology platform. That tool would certainly help us to do what you're talking about, right? To share our teachers more effectively across the district. We tend to use our master teachers to help train other teachers, coaches in the schools, right? Who are master teachers who help other teachers to refine their skills, right? So that they can reach more children. This is what we have to work on. This is the way to address the achievement gap. more project based, more hands on learning, right? The rote learning for many children is just, they turn off, right?
I know, but in Korea,
It works.
And so much. And in a way, I mean, I'm not advocating for rote. However, I do see that, for example, the timetables, they have to be taught, and just have them, just like that. But
that's part of it. There's no doubt. When I taught 7th grade math to gifted children, and they didn't know their times tables, that was one of the things that they needed to go back and do. Right? We had to help them fix that.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, we are running out of time. We've run out of time, and so many other questions. Thank you so much, Sylvia, for all your information, and we are so much better informed. And please come back and visit us. And thank you all for listening to Excellence in Education.